I did not wake that day in your clinic because something or someone told me. I did it because I agreed with it. Having felt the hunger at the corner of my awareness, I knew it was time to hunt. The hunger was different, not just physical but deeper. After bursting through that window, I had made my way back to the copper quarry, massacring every bandit in my way. Covered in the blood of their allies as I was, every single bandit in the quarry wanted me dead. A sympathy I was counting on, a challenge I looked forward to. To their misfortune, I was armed with my fangs and claws this time, as well as with my newfound magical abilities. My body seemed to wield basic shadow magic as well as unholy magic with ease and precision. I did not know at the time that someone helped make that happen back at the clinic, and that the same person was partly responsible for my deeper hunger. I kept tearing the bandits apart, clawing them to pieces as their essence flowed into me, showing me things that only they could know, feeling the death of every single one. Although this time I could bear it much easier. Another benefit of getting treated at the clinic. Soon enough, every bandit at the quarry was either dead or had fled. Having feasted on their flesh and essence, I felt more powerful than ever. I wanted more. I learned of the higher-ranked bandits in the area through consuming the essence that I just did. Thinking about the power I would get from them, the knowledge I would consume, filled me with excitement. I wasted no time in hunting them down. Almost every bandit in Farbane Forest belonged to one lawless organization, under the rule of the Bandit King Quincy, who has appointed lieutenants to oversee the organization operations. The first of the bandit lieutenants, Healy, the Frost Archer, in charge of the animal husbandry in the leather tanning camps. Rumors has it that once she was a member of the Dunley militia, but was removed because of her brutal actions on the battlefield. She struck at her enemies with no remorse and would stop at no sacrifice of her own men if it meant the target gets disposed of. The ends justify the means. Words she lived by. Words that she'll die by. She wielded a longbow along with basic frost magic which enchanted her bows. A fine skill set to add to my ever-growing repertoire. Searching the newly acquired memories from the bandits, I knew I would find her in one of her leather tanning camps, a highly guarded camp at that. First, I had disposed of her men, weaving in and out of the shadows, taking her men apart one by one until she was left all alone. I had freed the beasts she kept captive, turning them against her, which helped me in my effort to get her alone for an honorable test of skill. Me versus her. Her attacks were quick and cold, freezing the very ground that got struck by them. She was slippery and quick. Unfortunately for her, I was quicker and stronger.
Freeze! stupid. I messed up.
She hadn't managed to land a single blow on me. I had consumed her essence. As she fell onto the ground, I felt the knowledge, the power flow into me. I too was now capable of wielding basic frost magic, or more accurately, I learned how to do it. The capability, it seems, was already within me. All that she knew, I then knew too. Ve Victus. I wanted more, much more. I promptly headed towards the next target. The next target, another one of the Bandit King lieutenants, Rufus, the foreman. Rufus oversaw the lodging camp. He handled all of the bandits' organization woodworking needs, cutting down and processing wood into various things that were needed for the organization. He is not just a woodworker, he is also a skilled warrior, using the crossbow as his weapon of choice. He had a gift for rallying his allies. Most thought that it's simply motivation, but I could sense traces of magic in his rallying cries. He could empower himself and those around him. Getting to Rufus was easy. Unlike Kelly's camp, this camp was exposed and not walled off. I leaped over the river and I was met directly with Rufus. Some of his men did come to support him, but to no avail. I was faster than their arrows and bolts. I was stronger than their attacks. What arrows I did not evade, I simply deflected. They were shrugged off by a thick wall of fur and muscle. Rufus fought bravely, but at the end, he too fell at my claws. As I was consuming his essence, his skills, his knowledge, I was tapping into all of it like they were always my own. His rallying cry carried traces of blood magic that he himself was not aware of. I too was now capable of it. Ve Victus. With the next target in my sights, I had taken off once more. My next prey, Arrow, the Stonebreaker, in charge of mining and refining copper for the bandits organization. They say there is no rage like his. Wielding some level of chaos magic, he is able to shatter bone and ore alike, even with his bare hands. Rage is like an ever-burning fire. If you do not learn how to use it, it will use you as its fuel. Trust me, I would know. Errol was located inside of the deepest part of the copper mine in Farbane Forest, and there was only one way of getting to him, through his men. His men were no challenge at all. Their blood wet my claws, and their essence sated my hunger ever so slightly. Having absorbed Rufus's essence, I had gotten an insight into blood magic. And so I had developed a theory in my mind of a new way to do battle in my glorious form. Using this basic understanding of blood magic, I could manipulate my hands and claws, detach them just enough, and upon flinging my arm, the claws would fly out. I could only manage one at a time with accuracy, and the famous heightened regeneration that my kind enjoyed. The damage would be repaired soon enough. Even faster for me, having some basic access to blood magic now. After he landed a few shots on me, I attempted this newfound technique. By using it, I was able to bring Errol to his knees from a distance. Errol has my respect. He fought well and landed decent blows on me, but in the end, I was the one who came victorious. Ve Victus. Absorbing Errol's essence, again, just as all the others before him, I had gained his knowledge, gained his understanding of chaos magic. His skills and his essence fueled my seemingly bottomless hunger, making me stronger, making me want more. Before my hunt continued, I had curiosities and theories I wanted to satisfy. Curiosities about my newfound knowledge and abilities. Farbane was filled with more prey for me, a good enough reason to stay for a while. So I decided. I found a space up on a hill so the height can protect against floods. Trees all around which concealed any kind of structure, mostly. The place was perfect. I was gonna start building my shelter. However, first, I had to put a theory to the test. It was very clear that I was no longer bound by the sun and moon. I was always myself, no matter how I looked like. But having consumed the essence I just did, with better understanding of magic and more importantly magic that was no longer out of control for some reason, perhaps I could control my form at will now. I closed my eyes and using my blood magic, I tried to replicate the feeling of being in my human form. And surprisingly, it worked. I had transformed in my human form at will for the first time. This is something I always wanted to learn, and now because of the condition I found myself, it was possible. I was no longer just a werewolf, I was something more. There was no telling how powerful I can become now. The very thought of power waiting for me, the battles I would go through, was exhilarating. Nonetheless, I got to work. I had made a clearing on that hill, Using the vast amount of knowledge I had collected from the vast amount of prey I consumed, I knew how to make a core. A core which I could connect to any other structures I built. A core that would empower the structures and contraptions I built, making them exceed their potential. I could use my magic to build things. I no longer had to build by hand. As long as I had the necessary resources and I understood exactly how something worked to the finest of details, I could use a combination of shadow magic and my newly constructed core to create it. Thanks to my newly acquired knowledge, I managed to create a hideout for myself. I could create sawmills that cut wood by themselves, tanneries that processed leathers by themselves, and furnaces that smelted ores into ingots all by themselves. Only if I knew the exact process of doing it by hand down to the finest detail. I could create equipment and weapons using the same method, although my knowledge of wielding the weapons was limited. Most of the essences I consumed so far belonged to people that knew how to use them on a basic level. Some better than others, but I knew more potential was there to these weapons, much more. If I wanted to become stronger and better, I would have to go out after stronger prey, a challenge I was looking forward to. Suddenly, I was distracted from my thought process by the sounds of explosions and growls that sounded like they belonged to a wolf. I went over there only to discover a great white wolf, mortally wounded, and behind him, walking away gleefully, a woman with a long bow. I recognized this woman, Lydia, the Chaos Archer. Among the strongest lieutenants in the bandit organization, she wanders around Farbane fighting anything other than bandits. She does not aim her arrows. It's as if chaos magic made manifest. She fires blindly and somehow the arrows still find their target, using chaos magic either on purpose or by accident. She is a force to be reckoned with. Setting my eyes upon the great white wolf, mortally wounded as he was, I heard him in my head. I had been dishonored, fellow wolf. He continued. The woman killed a wolf from my pack, and I challenged her to make it right, but I failed. It is not the fact that I was defeated that saddens me so, but the fact that she refused to give me the death I deserve. Instead, she left me here to die like a runaway wolf of a wound. I fell silent looking at the wolf, and then he continued once more. Please, wolf, deliver the final blow so I may keep some of my dignity. He was like me. I saw myself in this wolf. Perhaps this is why I was telepathically connected with the great white wolf so easily. Having felt his words, his anger, and his wounded honor, it bounded with my own feelings. No warrior deserved such death. I was going to make her pay now. My eyes glowed white as I assumed a new form subconsciously. I had remained in my human form mostly, but my wolf strength and endurance and speed were with me. I had grown my white fur around my body and my muscles had bulged up, and yet I kept my humanoid form. At the time, I was focused on making her pay, to restore the great white wolf's honor, and to soothe my rage. I descended upon her like an angry animal while keeping my wits about me. She shot her arrows randomly and erratically, but my senses could see their twisted path, and my body, faster than ever, could avoid them. Using a newly made copper crossbow as well as a newly made copper axes, I fought her. 2 bandits that happened upon our fight attempted to help her. They were torn to pieces not too quickly after. No one was gonna get in my way. In the end, neither she or her help landed a single blow on me. Having brought the woman to her knees, she said,
Never lost before. If anything,
"You lost now, woman! For killing my kind? I have taken your life. Victus!" I had dealt the final blow, having restored the Great Wolf's honor, as well as sated my own anger. I went to the wolf who had witnessed the whole battle. He said, "Thank you, fellow wolf. It would be an honor for a wolf such as yourself to deal the final blow." The Great White Wolf lowered his head in preparation for the final blow. I went to wipe away the blood from the wolf's head before dealing the final strike, having thought to myself that this is such a waste. In that moment, I wished that the wolf could live on, and upon making contact with the wolf, something happened. Suddenly, my essence started flowing out of me and inside of the wolf. It was not painful, not for me, not for the white wolf, but somehow it was as if I was giving the wolf something from myself. I asked myself, what is this?